Okay, so I'm going to go back to main floor, and I'll just delete this string of dimensions first, just to kind of show you that from scratch. So at this point where I've got my level of detail determined, I've got my scale determined, now I can start adding some of the two-dimensional features. I'll start with dimensions, and I find those on the Annotate tab, and I'll just use the Aligned Dimension tool, and I can just click on grid line to grid line for this initial set of dimensions here, and make a string of them. I end the selection by just clicking where there isn't any sort of reference object, and it keeps it all nicely aligned. And a few things that I want to change here with dimensions. I'm going to change the text size, and I'm going to change the size of these ticks as well. They're just generally in Revit, they're oversized. So to do that, I'm going to go to the Manage tab. I'm going to click on Additional Settings, and I'm going to go to Arrowheads. When I get into this dialog box, I'm going to expand the type, look for diagonal 3 mm. That's the architectural tick that it's using in the dimension style. So I'm going to select diagonal 3 mm. I'm going to select Duplicate and make one that's half the size, so 1.5 millimeters. And then I just have to change the size here for 1.5, and I'll click OK. And now I can select the dimensions that I've already created, and I'll edit their type, and I will change the tick mark from diagonal 3 mm to diagonal 1.5 mm. And then I can go through here and make some other changes as well, like for example the size of the text. Now I should make a duplicate when I do this, just in case I need to use that 3 mm style somewhere else. So I'll click on Edit Type, I'll make a duplicate, and I'll call this my linear style. I'm going to make these really small, 1.5 mm. And then you could enter your font there, name there if you wanted. I'll click OK. Remember, you've just changed the name. You haven't changed anything about the type yet. So I'll change the text size to 1.5. And I'm going to change the background. I don't want it to be opaque. I want it to be transparent. And then I'll find the font and change that to one that I like. And you can see it makes that update automatically. So now I've got smaller text, smaller architectural ticks, and just going to be a lot less clutter there. So I would go through that same process for the rest of the dimensions in the project. They'll all use that type now. And next thing I'll show you here is just how to do the text. So there are more complicated ways to have text appear in your rooms for room labels. But we'll just use a simple method, and that's just going to be to go to the Annotate tab and just use the regular text tool. So click on text. The process is the same for determining the type. You can see here that it displays a 2.5 mm Arial. If I want a different size, different font, I would just click on Edit Type, make a duplicate, and I'll call this a 3 mm, and I'll name my font and click OK. Change the text size. Change the font, and then when you use this tool, you simply just click, make a text box, and then type in your room label. And then when you select it, you get a grip here, a move grip on the upper left to move it around, and I'll just make a copy of that and put it over here in the other washroom. When you want to edit it, you initially select the text box and then select a second time and highlight the text, and then you can change its entry.